Welcome to Loving God and Loving Life. Here we are in Hebrews chapter 3, where the theme is Jesus as the builder of God's house is greater than Moses. We've said that in the entire book is comparing Jesus to pretty much everything in the Old Testament. He's greater than Moses, and that we must heed his directions. This chapter, he begins introducing the concept of God's place of rest. When we started the church 23 years ago, we had a tagline, a phrase that we used. We called it a place of rest. Well, I still love that phrase. It's one of my best and favorite scriptural phrases. The reason we no longer use it is because it took a lot of explaining. When people would just read that, they would think, okay, a place of rest. All right, well, that means that I just sit and do nothing. Well, actually, a place of rest referred to the place where God was leading his people. When he led them out of Egypt, he was leading them to the promised land was called a place of rest. Now, the problem was, in order to get into the place of rest, in order to get into the promised land, they had to fight giants. And of the 2 million people he brought out of Egypt, only 2 of them were willing to do that. And it's absolutely the same today. The writer here is bringing up that place of rest, and he's making very clear that God has a place of rest for us, and it's true. That place of rest is a place of fulfillment. It is a place where what God has put you on this planet for is happening. It is a place of fruitfulness. But in order to get that, 100 times out of 100, you're going to have to fight some giants. Absolutely. And unfortunately, more often than not, what is being revealed here is that people aren't willing to do that. We just want to believe. I think the main mistake they were making in the Old Testament when they came out of Egypt, on the way to the Promised Land, and the main mistake that we're being warned of here, again, is to look inwardly and see. I kind of might make it like the pilot light of a furnace. If you know, a gas furnace has this little bitty pilot light. Well, the only purpose that pilot light is there for is that when the gas comes on, it's there to have a flame to light the real purpose of the furnace, which is to warm up the room. Well, gang, our real purpose is to warm up this world, is to share the faith. But again and again, we look inside and we see the pilot light. We're like, oh, I'm good. I'm all set. Gang, the only purpose of that belief in there is to share God's love with the world. And again, they forgot that. Man, they forgot that. They looked inside and kept seeing the pilot light and thought everything is fine. And then the scripture that we're going to read, just the verse out of the chapter today, is God said that in my anger I took an oath that they will never enter my place of rest. This is the writer here of Hebrews reminding them that, hey, gang, your ancestors, the majority of them never got into their place of rest, their promised land. It was promised to them. God had prepared it for them. And he's bringing that into our life today and saying, you know what? God has a good place for you. He's got a fruitful, happy life for you. But if you're not willing to fight giants, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. You're going to see that pilot light and just kind of circle. And they ended in that generation ended up dying, just going in circles. And far too many people, if we're just honest, if they examined their life, are just going in circles just around me, just my life, my faith, my spirituality becomes just another circle around me to make me feel good. Gang, that he's warning us here that no, God has called us into a fruitful life of expanding his kingdom. We're going to have to fight some giants to do it, but by the grace of God, that's the fun part. Overcoming our own junk. Fight whatever giants God puts in your path. By the grace of God, we can overcome. Hey, friends, let's pray today. God, today, send us one person today to share your love with. Friends, never forget, loving God is the only way to truly love your life.